Hi guys, today we're going to make the famous comic cake. I already covered my cake with fondant and then flatten the pink fondant and cover 1/4 of your cake. Use this fondant tool to help you eliminate all the bubbles. It is really common to have bubbles on the fondant. That's why this fondant tool is really one of the staples that you need to have. Use the palm of your hands to smoothen off the corners. Once you're happy with it, we can now start designing our cake. With this fondant cutter, we will create the drip effect of this cake. It's best to do this freehand, it just adds an artistic look to it. Use a scissor to help you remove excess fondant. Cut it before it gets too long so that it won't deform our fondant. And then continue the process with the rest of the cake. We have to be really careful on cutting the fondant because once we already cut it, there's no going back. Of course, there's still way to fix it, but it might not be as good. So it will look something like this. Let's add some decorations at the bottom of the cake. For this decoration, I just roll the fondant and add two lines on top of it, putting every piece slightly above each other. Do this until you reach the end of the cake. Now I'm going to add three lines in the middle of the cake. To do this, I will flatten a white and pink fondant. Cut them lengthwise, make sure it's enough to cover the whole cake. I'll be needing one white fondant and two pink fondant. It doesn't have to be perfect as long as it's a bit similar. Use your fingers to smoothen up the edges. I'll be placing the white first because this will go on the center. This way we can separate them equally. You don't have to worry because it doesn't have to be perfect. This is one of the things that I really like about comics cake. Even though it's a bit disproportionate or unleveled, it will still look like a design. Now we're going to add the pink. One at the bottom and one at the top. When that's done, we need to roll a thin black fondant. It is best to get this flat iron fondant tool because this will be really helpful for this design. After rolling the black fondant, put it around the bottom of the cake. Use a fondant tool to help you tuck the fondant in each corner. With the rolled fondant as well, put them on the bottom part of the lines. Cut them into smaller strands to add designs to it, making sure that there are small gaps in between. The same way, put some strands also at the top of the line. Work your way up to the next one using the same principle. And then on the top as well. In my opinion, the more random the lines are, the better. After that, now we can start on our drip. This can be a little bit trickier than the others due to the curves of the drip, so it's best to use a fondant tool to help you with those tight places. If you're liking our video tutorial, please like and subscribe to our channel. We offer a lot of very detailed fondant creations for you to follow step by step. And of course, don't forget to put edible glue as you go. This way, our fondant will stick together and won't fall later on. Once that is done, let's move on top of our cake. Damp it with a little bit of edible glue and put a ring on it on the top, just right at the edges of your cake. Like the design on the rest of the cake, cut small pieces on the top so that it will look like there are gaps in between. Now it looks very good to me. Set the cake aside while we create the cherry on top. Roll a pink fondant and a strand of white fondant. One end should be thicker than the other. Afterwards, cut it slantways like this, and then twist it like an ice cream. It should look something like this. Just check out the cherry if it fits on the top. If it does, poke a hole in the middle of it. And then, like the rest of our cake, you have to roll a thin fondant. Like before, I'm using the same flat iron fondant tool. This is a very important tool in my opinion, because if you try and roll it by your fingers, there will be lumps in between. And then put it around the swirl. Just be careful not to break the fondant. After that, cut the excess fondant. We should also put one across it. Now it looks like a real comic. We should do the same thing for our cherry. Put a thin fondant around it, and then a thicker fondant on top of it. This will look like its stem. After that, combine them together. Repeat the same process depending on how many toppers you need. When you're done, put them on top of your cake. When you're happy with the placement, you can put edible glue to help them stick on the cake. And then we can add a candle in the middle. And that's how we make the famous comic cake. If you like our video tutorial for today, please like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you!